Find the volume of the cone. So we're using the same formula here that we used for the volume of a pyramid, which is a third of the base times the height. Now, since the base is just a circle, that means that effectively we're using a third times pi r squared times by the height, or just a third pi r squared h. So let's input what we know. So we're looking for the volume, and we're going to find a third of pi times the radius squared. Radius is 2, 2 squared is 4, so we've got third multiplied by 4 pi, which is my base, times by the height, which is 4. So I can either leave this in terms of pi, which would be 4 pi times 4 is 16 pi. A third of that will just be that divided by 3, so I could either leave that as 16 pi over 3, and it's a volume, so it'll be feet cubed, or I can get my calculator out and switch that to an actual value as a decimal. So that'll be 16.8 to 1 decimal place. Same thing again here. So volume is going to be a third of pi r squared multiplied by the height. And here I know again the radius, so I've got a third times pi r squared, radius being 3, that squared is 9, so I've got a third of 9 pi multiplied by the height. Height's missing here though. I've got the slant height, but I need to know the perpendicular height. So since I've got a right angled triangle here, I can just do Pythagoras to work out the value of that. So we'll have x squared. I know 6 is going to be the longest side, so I'm going to be subtracting the others. 6 squared take away 3 squared will be 36, take away 9 is 27. So x will be the square root of 27. If you want to switch that to a third, that's the square root of 9 times the square root of 3, which is 3 root 3. So now we just need to input all this. We can do it in a calculator, or we can just slightly tidy it up first of all. Well, a third times 9 pi is just going to give me 3 pi multiplied by 3 root 3. So I'll stick that into my calculator here. And that'll give me the value of 48.97 to 2 decimal places. And again, it's a volume, so it's feet cubed. Find the radius of the cone. Again, write out what we know. It's a third pi r squared multiplied by the height, and fill in the information that we know. We know the volume this time, so we can input that. Still got the third. We're missing the radius here, so pi r squared has to go in, and the height that we do know is 13. So now we just need to shift all this round until we've got the radius left on its own. Lots of different ways you could do this. I'd start by getting rid of the third. You can either do that by dividing by a third or multiplying by 3. I always think of that as a multiplication by 3 to cancel it out. So if I multiply both sides by 3, I get 2,614 times by 3, which is 7,842. And then that gives me 13 pi r squared. So now I just need to divide both sides by 13 pi. That will get rid of the 13 pi part on the right hand side. So I'll have that divided by 13 pi, the calculator, which will give me 192 and a little bit extra. Should really have written that in blue, so I'll just go back and work that out. So that'll be 192.01 equals the radius squared. So the radius will just be the square root of all of that. And that's an ongoing decimal. And the square root of that gives you 13.86. And that's just feet, because it's the distance.